Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's version of Meet the Pros. Sorry, I'm just a little anxious, a little excited, can't get it together here. Thank you very, very much for joining us. As I said, I'm really excited this week. We have one of my absolute favorite people who will be joining us in just a second, and that is Sam Flake from Snowflake, Arizona. And he's going to be talking to us a little bit about his business. In the meantime, I'm Eileen Monks, and this is Ken Schmidt, my brother. And we're going to kind of get you started here. Ken, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, so we put this together. Basically, we're really excited to get everybody's in the mindset of where we're at, and how when you're starting as a new person in an MLM, how that works, and what you need to do to make it work for you. So our concept behind this, we're bringing in some people who have been in this for quite some time already, and maybe some who have not also. And that's kind of where we're looking at it, is we want to make sure that it doesn't cover just the people who seem like they're the far out there people, but everybody. And so that's where we're at right now. We've got Sam Flake with us tonight, and he's going to go through his story and how this has worked for him. And let's introduce him. He's green right now. For some reason, his camera's not working. Hey, Sam.
All right. So, Sam, did your camera re-click in or not?
It hasn't yet. Can you hear me still?
I can definitely hear you. Yeah. So maybe re-click the link.
Okay, let me try that.
Okay. Now, we all know how technical difficulties work, so we're hoping that this is going to work out okay. And it's funny because about 10 seconds before we went live, Sam showed up green, and we went, it's okay, it'll work out.
Yeah, but like, this is actually the kind of funny thing. Like a lot of people who do different businesses online, or brick and mortar businesses, they have the issues of connectivity. So, like I know when we travel to Philippines all the time and stuff like that, it's brutal to get a connection there. It's crazy. So sometimes you're going, wow, like I need to be on the road and do things, but sometimes it just doesn't work as you plan. So right now we've got a green version of Sam for some reason.
Which is really weird because we actually had Sam seconds ago. Like I said, That was so bizarre how that happened. And I'm not sure, Ken, do you have any ideas on what he can do?
No, Sam, what's going on your side?
Well, it is showing green. I can hear you guys. And if you want, we can just keep talking, even though you can't see me. And I'm actually downloading BeLive.tv on my cell phone. And if that gets downloaded in time, I'll add in. Otherwise, we can just talk, though.
Sure, let's go for it. Well, we're gonna get this kicked off right now. And I guess it kind of the first thing that we, as Eileen and I, want to know is you. Tell us about yourself.
Absolutely. You're amazing, Sam. Tell us about you.
Well, it's kind of surreal to be doing this and to be up here. Like I've never done network marketing before. I kind of had a negative opinion about it. So I grew up in a small town in Arizona, a farm and ranch. I did construction for a while, then I was a school teacher. And, I'd just been praying to get my wife home from work. And we had 2 kids, and she had 12 weeks with the first one, then back to work, 6 weeks with the next one, then back to work. And her sister fortunately was her sister, but still it wasn't her. It wasn't mom. And that was a big deal to me. And so about 8 years ago, we got introduced to this and very skeptically looking at it and like, I don't know, I've never done anything like that. But felt like it was an answer to our prayer, and we decided to go for it and didn't jump out of the gate or anything, but kind of how we came to find LifeVantage.
And so, Sam, when did this happen? When did LifeVantage come into your life? Like, how did you find out about the company? How did you decide to give this a go?
Well, it's kind of a funny story, actually. I called a friend of mine to come fix something over at our house, and when he answered the phone, he didn't know he did. And when he answered, I overheard him say network marketing. So when he came over to the house, I kind of gave him a hard time about it. And I was, pretty ignorant of it and stereotyped it and things like that. But he started talking about free radicals and oxidative stress, about this product. And and just kind of going in one ear and out the other, and invited us to a meeting and said, bring your wife. And I said, we'll talk to her, we'll see. And she came home from work and kind of rolled her eyes and finally said, okay, we'll go, but we're not taking our credit card. We're not buying anything. We're not signing up for anything. And when the presentation was over, I looked at her and said, what'd you think? She goes, let's do it. And I about fell off the couch.
That's funny. And so when was that? How long ago?
So it's been over 8 years now. That was May of 2010.
Wow.
Long time into it.
That's a fairly long time. And so you had this sort of, as you said, ignorant version or ignorant view of MLM. And so what happened? Like, why did you suddenly love MLM? Because I know you do. You and I have talked about this before. And so what made you love it?
Well, honestly, it didn't just happen overnight. Even though we had signed up, I still had a lot of those feelings and still didn't know much about it. But I trusted my friend, and his dad was a biology teacher, human anatomy, physiology teacher at a high school. He'd done university work. And my friend had joined, and he had never done network marketing before either. He's now sold his business and was able to go full time at this. But he had never done network marketing before either. And so he just sent the product and the science to his dad. And that's one thing that really impressed me was the science. It wasn't just testimonials like a lot of them. And so anyways, he sent it to his dad, and his dad was so impressed. His dad joined the company. And that was one of the big things that impressed me.
Yeah, it is like having the science behind it is pretty huge. So at that point in time, the ABC investigative report had been out. Did you see that?
We did. So he had sent it to me. I watched it, and then the night of the presentation, he had a guest speaker, and he shared it there. And when he first sent it to me, I didn't understand it all that much, and I didn't have a lot of health issues or things like that. So probably wasn't looking as much as some people who see it and they want the product like right when they see it. But when he explained it more and explained more about the research behind it, explained more about oxidative stress and how that's attached to over like 200 different diseases, and this lowered that oxidative stress by about an average of 40%. That once I learned what oxidative stress was, and I saw that there was over 83,000 studies on PubMed.gov, that really impressed me. Yeah. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be big. And that was, after I learned that, it was the second day after we saw a presentation, we signed up that night.
Yeah, totally. So it's obviously had a very positive effect in your family's life. Why don't you give us a little bit of a sort of a description or detail of that and how it's changed your life?
Yeah, so we started taking it, and I didn't notice anything the first month, and the second month I noticed I was able to quit wearing an ankle brace to play basketball. We can't claim that this prevents, cures, treats disease because the government requirement and stuff on natural products. But when I started it for my ankle, and then over time, my wife used to get a lot of bronchitis, pneumonia issues, and just symptoms of them, not the actual disease. And oh my gosh, it's just helped her a ton in the wintertime. It's Arizona, but it still gets cold up here in Snowflake where we were living. Yeah. And just an amazing product, what it does at the cellular level.
That's right too. And there's not just that product too. There's quite a few different products that they offer. So you can do both internally and externally of the same thing. So
that's how it's affected your life health-wise. How else has this business affected you? Like, you do this full time. Your wife, Vandy, does this at full time. So obviously there's something to it that it must have been a very positive experience in order to help your life. So how has it blessed your life?
So just the product itself, I feel like it's saving years, and it's like insurance to us, and even our kids can take it, and done some great things for my son. And then the business itself, I'm not sure if you were going to the business part or just the product still.
Either.
But on the business side, like I'd never done this before, but we just plugged into a system. They say systems don't fail people, people fail systems. We learned the system and decided to be professional at it, not just, dabble in it. And of course, we were both working full time, so we didn't have a lot of time. And it's like most people in our company, they didn't have much time. My dad always said, if you want something done, give it to a busy person, right? But, most of the people who've succeeded in our company had never even done network marketing before. Some had, but a lot hadn't. And they just put it in the nooks and crannies, driving to work, calling somebody, and, sharing that there's so much technology today with Facebook Messenger and LinkedIn and just, calling people. And you can do it the traditional way, the newer ways. I mean, there's social media and things to do it now. And so many people succeeding. I used to think network marketing only succeeded. Now I realize it's $189 billion industry worldwide.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huge industry.
It really is.
So
surprising, how big it is.
I guess to answer your question, and fully answer that. So now, I mean, my wife and I, we've been retired. We both were able to quit our jobs and go full time at this with a residual income more than we were both making full time. We got 4 kids now. I've had 2 more kids because of, I don't know if we would have any more kids because just not being, both having to work, just be too hard and whatnot. And my wife didn't want to do that. And so now we've been able to have more kids and we got time with them. I get to stay home with them a lot. I'm home like probably 3 weeks out of a month. And, I get to be home in the morning, take them to school a lot of times, be home when they're home from school. My 2 youngest kids, I got a 13-year-old girl and 3 boys that are 9, 5, and 2. And my 2 youngest boys don't even know what it's like to have a dad that goes to a job.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
As myself as a teacher, it's one of those things that I laugh at that because I can't imagine not going to my job. But as a parent, I really, I envy the fact that you can do that. Like I would have given, I don't even know what I would have given to be able to stay home with my girls and be able to live the lifestyle that you and Vandy are living and being able to be such a huge piece of your kids' lives. Like I've seen you guys and, you're helping them get ready for their different shows and you're there. You're so in their life. And you can't buy that for love or money kind of thing. But this business, pardon?
It's a one-shot deal. So you miss it, the end.
It is. It really is. And you've got this business where you get to do that. You get to be this huge piece of your young children's lives. Yeah. And that's not something that you get a chance to do in other professions.
No, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's I mean, you can't even explain it. I mean, to not have to be tied to a job and like I have a friend in this business. He's used to be a firefighter, got several kids. Well, they got in a car accident recently, but he had worked really, really hard for a few years building this up so that he could dig it. One of his favorite quotes is dig your well before you're thirsty.
That's right.
Well, him and his wife and his 2 teenage daughters got in a car accident and in the hospital for months. And him and his wife even broke their legs, but his 2 teenage daughters, unfortunately, were paralyzed from the waist down. And I mean, imagine what that's like for them and all the trauma and everything like that. I mean, take away the money. I mean, even without all the money things, like it's a huge, huge ordeal, but then add money issues on top of it when the dad's working and, and now no income's coming in, whatever the case may be. It's hugely, hugely stressful. Well, they had a lot to worry about. And he says, we had a lot to worry about. He goes, but money was not one of the things.
Thankfully.
They're making over their top of the company and making what in a month what some people would make in a year.
It really is astounding because that particular situation, and hopefully at some point we'll be able to have him on and do this with him. But that situation just absolutely blows my mind. And, when you think about his 2 girls and all of the things that are required for that situation, and like you said, money wasn't an issue, so they were able to get their wheelchairs and they were able to modify their house and their lives to adjust to that particular problem that had happened, that accident that had happened, and was totally devastating and life-changing for everybody in that family.
Mhm.
And, you know, like you said, you've got the opportunity to dig your well ahead of time. And thankfully, nothing's hopefully going on in your family where that's an issue. But at least you've set that stage that if something did happen, you're going to be okay. You're not going to have to worry about it financially, and you'll be able to attend to it and not have to worry about, you know, going to your job, your 9 to 5. And if you're not there, you're going to lose your job. You're going to lose your house. You're going to lose everything.
Yeah.
Right, you know, and I know we're trying to keep this to about 15, 20 minutes, but I want to say something a little bit about network marketing, because it's, you know, there's a stereotype out there, and some of you have had good or bad experiences. And, you know, the restaurant industry, people have had bad experiences at restaurants, but that doesn't mean they quit eating at restaurants. Or they've had a bad experience with a real estate agent. That doesn't mean they quit using real estate agents, you know. So I challenge people to not judge a whole industry based on a few people or a few bad companies and things like that. There's good and bad companies and everything. And also to look at this as a profession. I mean, I've seen more and more, and it's really been professionalized more and more. In fact, those of you who don't know, the network marketing industry is growing like crazy. There's over $189 billion worldwide of products sold every year. And I think it's something like $200 million of commissions are paid out every single day in network marketing.
That's huge.
And isn't that amazing? Isn't that crazy, Ken?
Yeah, that's incredible.
It's just, I can't even fathom that. Well, and then that leads to the next question that I kind of had sort of playing in the back of my head. Well, what advice would you give to someone or to those who might be interested in pursuing this kind of a side business, or not even a side business, but ultimately their regular, their income producing business?
Well, obviously, balance is a really important part of life, and I like what Stephen R. Covey says. Sometimes you have to have some temporary imbalance to get the permanent balance you're looking for. Mm-hmm. Another great quote is, "Successful entrepreneurs are people who work a few years like most people won't, so they can spend the rest of their lives like most people can't." Yeah. Those have definitely been some driving quotes as in my mindset and my personal growth in this business. But you know, it doesn't mean no balance at all. And, you know, you still have, I mean, you can't treat it like a hobby, and you can't use your family and your other important things in life as excuses. You know, you have to use them as reasons. There's a difference between using them as excuses and as a reason. And my advice is decide, you know, well, my advice is to watch these things that you guys are doing. This is amazing. I'd never had anybody do this before, but you guys are interviewing the professionals. You know, of course, I know you guys get on the trainings and you know, we do Zoom trainings and monthly trainings, you know, live trainings as well as Zooms, and there's company conventions and things like that. But I mean, decide to go pro, decide to become a professional and study the professionals. You know, if you want what successful people have, learn what they do and copy it. And, you know,
Absolutely.
I think some of these things, like, they were big revelations to me. It sounds crazy, but it's like, I learned these things at the trainings we went to and just listening to calls and things like that. And to now, I mean, once you hear stuff like this, it's like, oh yeah, duh. But it's so funny how we don't think like that.
Totally.
Well, and you know, this brainchild of Ken's, because this is Ken's thought. He wanted to do this, and I totally agreed with him once he brought it forward. And it really was that impetus that people get this mindset. Oh, I can't do that. It's too complicated. I don't like MLMs. And, you know, I mean, the gauntlet of excuses. And Ken and I talked about it, and he said, you know what? People need to understand what those pros, like yourself, Sam, what they've gone through in order to get here. Was it that they had this special marketing understanding or background, or did they do something special or anything like that? And so it allowed us to look at this particular program, these interview kinds of situations, this show, and see what other professionals have come in with and how they've grown their business. I mean, you've told us that you were a teacher and you had construction in your background. So you're just like everybody else, And yet you were able to make this business for yourself that you and your wife are both home as you want. You're living life on your own terms. And so that in and of itself is huge. Most people would love to be able to do that, but they're not willing to take that first step. They're not willing to open their minds to what do they need to do. And as soon as they hear that word MLM or that acronym MLM, they go, oh, it's that, just like you'd said. And they're not willing to think about the fact that it's front end loaded work, it's networking, and it's totally doable. You know, you're explaining it's totally doable. Anything else, you know, that I'm missing out of this? Because I feel like I am.
Well, and one thing I want to add to that is, you know, there have been some bad companies. There is a bad taste in people's mouth for a reason, and you know, it does need to be addressed as in reality. So there have been bad companies that have given bad taste in people. Now there's been unprofessional people that have given people a bad taste. You know, so I completely understand where people are coming from. I mean, I was there. You guys probably in some way or another even had some of those thoughts and feelings. But you know, when you do look into a company, you need to look at, you know, in our early presentations, I remember we talked about 6 things. You know, when you look at an opportunity, it doesn't matter if it's network marketing, what it is, there's 6 things you need to look at. You know, the company, you know, how's their financial situation? How long have they been around? You know, are they stable? Can you trust them? You know, that kind of a thing. In our company, publicly traded on the NASDAQ. Over 100 years of network marketing experience between the top of the company. Our CEO has over 25 years of experiences. We're open in 18 countries. You know, we've been around in network marketing since 2009, but we're still not even 1% of the United States or Canada or the world knows about this yet. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of experience on the company side, and it's transparent. Most of them are private. You can look it up. It's publicly traded on the NASDAQ, or, you know, you can look it up. And then the second thing is product. You know, the product is extremely important because people want to put their name and reputation behind something that's solid and not just snake oil and, you know, other things that the other part that have given it a bad name. But a product, it's got peer-reviewed published research. It's been studied not just by the company, but by universities, you know. And even the American Heart Association, which 2 cardiologists in our company said they've never, ever in their life seen a natural branded supplement published by the American Heart Association before. And, you know, it's been on ABC, NBC, PBS, the Wall Street Journal. I mean, an amazing credibility. And more doctors. In fact, I heard the other day someone said there's about 800 doctors in our company now. And it's not because it's not just testimonials, but there's peer-reviewed and published research. And it's another thing that's cool about it is it's bringing the natural world and the MD world together, because it's got the natural, you know, a lot of the, you know, products have been used in India and China for centuries, but the synergy is 1,800% more effective than any of the 5 herbs by themselves. Patented recipe that we have, but it also has, you know, the peer-reviewed research that MDs are looking for, because that's how they're trained.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so it's so interesting to see the melding of naturopaths and chiropractors and massage therapists with MDs and doctors, and, you know, that whole thing. It's so cool. So anyways, I'm getting a little long-winded here, but that's the product, you know, and I go way more into that. And of course we have many other products that are in nutrigenomics, another huge industry that we haven't even touched on yet. I mean, I really believe that this nutrigenomics, this nerve to activation we're talking about, is going to replace the antioxidant market. And people really find out how little antioxidants are doing compared to this. So I'll fly through the other things just because of time. But so it's company, product. You got to look at the timing. You know, does everybody know about it? Well, go out and ask 10 people, and I'd be surprised if one of them have heard about it, right? So that's all I need to say about timing. And number 4 is, so it's company, product, timing, trends. What are the trends today? Health and wellness. I mean, what is it? I think 10,000 people are turning 65 every day in the US, at least. And I'm sure it's real similar in Canada. The baby boomer generation, they're aging. You know, that's why hospitals and nurses and everything's going through the roof right now. They're looking for alternative medicine. That's another huge trend, is natural and and alternative medicine. And then you also look at compensation, and if anybody's interested, just get with them. They could send you a video just on the compensation plan. It's the most lucrative one that I know of in the industry. Heard it's been evaluated very well. And then system is the last one. Systems don't fail people, people fail systems. And we have a system in place that I don't know anybody who's consistently followed this system for several years that has not had success.
Yeah. Well, and the team support right now, I mean, well, not even the team support, but the companies support. Companies that, if you have any questions, and, people say, well, what about this? What about the other? Well, no, but just hold on a second and I will find out for you. And there's always somebody around who can help me answer that question. So that support is phenomenal.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Okay, Sam, well, we really appreciate your time tonight. And
hold on. Ken, I got one more question for Sam.
Okay.
Sam, would you be willing to come back on again?
Absolutely. I really apologize about the camera.
The green version of Sam.
Yeah, I'm hoping not the green version, but all right.
I'm really a green man.
That you're willing to come back. Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to wrap it up so Sam can take off. I know his time is very precious. He's doing some training tonight too after this. So we really want to thank you, Sam, for coming on with us tonight. This is basically our kickoff night. And anybody who's interested in checking it out, let Eileen and I know, or Sam if you can get a hold of them. And we'll lead you down the path of where we're going and how things are, how it's all kind of laid out for us. So, but what I'd like to say is next week, what we got coming up is a lovely lady, Kai Hayes. And Kai's a visionary. So she's 25 years old. She broke the chain of poverty in her family. She loves to help and inspire people. She also loves to create excitement. She's a former corporate executive, successful Asian telecommunications business owner, and a certified life coach and a banker, and now successful business network marketing professional. Because in spite of her success in her career, she realized she was not paid her worth, of course, like the rest of us, and locked herself up in working for someone else's dream and with her own business. Time was the greatest enemy and realized she wasn't residual. So searching for a better way, she fell in love with network marketing. As her first time in the industry, she created her retirement. So pretty cool little bio on her. And she's going to be up with us next week. And thank you, Sam, for connecting us. That was really cool. I had a little chat with her already earlier today. So I'm really excited to get her on here and share her story.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Sam. And anybody else that would like to know more about this business, I will be doing a Zoom in about 2 minutes. I will add the link underneath this Zoom, or pardon me, underneath this interview, and then you can join us. Pardon?
On the Facebook Live?
On the Facebook Live. Yeah, I'll be putting it on there, and then you guys can join us as you see fit. So thank you, Ken, for doing this, and thank you very much, Sam, for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
You bet. Have a great night.
Thanks, you too.
Bye-bye.